better to maintain the relationship in your family and in your neighborhood, your friendships, as best you can by letting people set their own limits and then you being able to set your limits. In the film I made, the 81-year-old daughter was taking care of her 103-year-old mother and her 50-year-old daughter who had Huntington's disease. And I fell in love with this family. They were from San Jose, and I went to Georgia to film them. And I learned a lot. And believe me, this 5-generation family of females all helped each other. But not all families work that way. And not all elders I work with, that's why care managers are important, don't have families. Or they lose touch with people because they're frail and they don't leave the home, then they become isolated. So I learned so much just talking to them and watching them, as I do from all my clients. And they had humor. So Nana, the 103-year-old, would say about her daughter Wilma, I don't know about Wilma. She don't get enough rest. She's like a little road runner. Someone says, got to do this, she goes over there. Got to do this, she runs over there. She never says no. She never says no. So that is what I try to instill with my caregivers in the support group. And what I've learned myself is there are times when you have to say, you know, I need a break. Sister, brother, friend, neighbor, cousin, can you stay with them for a few hours while I take a break? Don't be afraid to ask. The other about humor, thought I would close with just 2 things that I thought, well, my dad was a funny man. He could have been on stage. But when he had Alzheimer's, there was a glimpse of his humor, but not a lot. My dad was also a boxer, and he was an angry man. He grew up very angry. His parents were immigrants, and I think he had there was prejudice against the Portuguese in Santa Clara County, and I think he carried a chip on his shoulder. He stayed a lot in his basement and had 4 daughters. He was a Mr. John Wayne wannabe, and he ended up with 4 daughters. But one day, I noticed how depressed my mom was. Not one day. I saw it coming. I saw that I'd go visit, and she just never smiled. Because she was caring for my dad, who had some dementia, and my mom hadn't done anything in her house for a long time. She didn't spend money on herself. She didn't spend money on the house. And I think the carpet was in there for 30 years. And it got to the point where it was kind of musty, and her daughters kind of started like, ooh, can we have dinner at our house? Because Mom's house is beginning to smell a bit, you know. And we knew the carpets were really dusty. I said, Mom, I help clients try to find some joy in their lives. We need to do something for you. You look depressed. I knew she would never go to a counselor. So I said, how about if you allow me to help you paint the kitchen? You know, I'll get the kitchen painted, something bright colors, so that when you walk in your house, knowing that Dad is waiting for you and knowing Dad is difficult, that you have something to look forward to when you come into your home. Do you know those that have the same mattress that they've had for 45 years? And it really is not comfortable, and the same pillows are flat? Well, they don't waste money, right? This group. So for 3 months after work, I would go to my mom's in Santa Clara, and I would bring like a new comforter and take out bags of stuff and bring in the new, kind of jazz it up, put, you know, paint in all the rooms and pillows on the beds, you know, make it look nice. And my dad, for 3 months, sat watching TV, his Westerns, and he'd watch me come in and out, in and out. I'd come in with bags. I'd leave with old stuff, take them out, and dump them, right? And one day my dad said, "Oh, here comes the bag lady again." And I would just take those bags in and say, yeah. And then he finally, one time he said, "Why does somebody need all those pillows on a bed? You got to put them on after you make the bed, and then you take them off when you go to bed? It doesn't make any sense." I go, "No, it doesn't make sense, but it looks nice, doesn't it? Mom needs to have it look nice." Now, my dad's basement, his garage, pristine, labeled. Everything was cool. But he saw no reason for my mother to redo the house inside because he didn't care, right? He didn't care about it. So towards the end of the 3rd month, I don't know what I brought in, but I brought something in. My dad was sitting at the kitchen table, and I said, "Okay, Dad, I'm leaving." Gave my mom a hug, gave my dad a hug. And he said, "Wait a minute. Aren't you done yet?" Those of you with loved ones with dementia, you know how sometimes out of the mouths of babes, comes this wisdom. And I went, "I know. You're getting tired of me being here, aren't you?" He goes, "A little." And I said, I know, Dad. I know, Dad." And he goes, "Well, I was thinking the other day," and he was raised Catholic. Didn't practice the Catholic faith, but he was raised Catholic. And he goes, "Didn't it take God 7 days to make the whole world?" And I went, "Well, that's what you learn, right?" And he goes, "I think it took him 2 seconds to make you and your mother." And I knew he was annoyed, right? And so I go, okay, grabbed my purse, went into the car, felt a little hurt, a little miffed, and I sat there ready to leave and thought, oh my gosh, I've been here 3 months trying to get this house to look nice. And all he says is, basically get out of here, get out of Dodge. And then I kind of sat there for a minute because I learned this from Wilma, where she would step back when her mother would say, "Wilma, make sure you get the green cabbage when you go to the store." And she'd go, "How do I know it's green, Mom?" And then she would step back and take a look at, really remind herself where she is, what's happening. And I sat in the car, and mentally I stepped back, and I thought, yes, I'm feeling hurt, and I didn't get a thank you because the house looks fabulous. Could have been a decorator maybe, I don't know, change careers, I don't know. But my dad didn't appreciate it, right? And I shouldn't have expected him to because he didn't care about the inside of the house, but it kind of hit me right where it hurts. And I think more so it's knowing that he's not really the same person. So talking to him is not the same. But I thought, you know what? I got to have a sense of humor about this. Wilma taught me about humor. So I went back in the house and I said, "Dad," I said, "I get paid to speak sometimes. Can I use that in one of my speeches?" And he said, "I don't care what you do." He goes, "People pay you to speak?" I go, "Sometimes." And he goes, "I wouldn't pay to listen to you." And then I had to leave with a smile on my face. And if I can also leave you with another tip, is try to find the humor, try to reframe, because we know when people are in pain, you don't feel like talking. When people are in pain and sick, they may talk, but they may be grumpy, or they may even not be so nice. And I see that at the senior center. People come in and they're abrupt, and I always wonder, as a care manager, I know what's on the other side. I've been to the homes. So I try to remind the staff, too, you know what? We don't know what's happening in their lives. We just have to be patient and love them and love ourselves. So thank you. Thank you for being here today. I hope you have a great day.